Hey guys, so somebody left me a comment on a previous video asking me if once I have been certain that I'm going to get the thing that I want, that once I've reached that point where I've just like let it go and I know the divine intelligence, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to orchestrate a path to the thing for me if I can't see the way. Once I'm at the point where I just know that's going to happen, do I then experience doubts? And the answer to that is yes, because experiencing doubts is human. And I think the level of doubt that you have is going to be directly proportional to the amount of belief that you have, or maybe inversely proportional. The more you believe, the less you're going to doubt, obviously, right? And I think the more that you doubt, the more likely it is that in your current mental state that you're going to take actions unwittingly that perhaps delay that or prevent it from happening. So the video that I made yesterday, I think, I'll link to the one, I'm pretty sure it's the one that will have been previous to this one, just prior to this one. I was talking about how old seeds still come up and sprout in your current reality, even after you've shifted, because you take actions, you create your 3D reality largely in ways that you don't know. I mean, there are some, you can definitely look at the actions that you've taken, the decisions that you've made consciously, and you can see how those things have impacted, your outer world right now. You can take responsibility directly for a lot of it. But, from the state of mind you're in, you are a different person in 3D than you would be if you were in a different state of mind. So you're creating things everywhere you go. You're setting things in motion everywhere you go without even realizing it, just with your interactions and your vibe and like the minutia of your day, the decisions that you make all day that don't seem important. We have no way of knowing how those actually are important and what the, butterfly effect is of those things. So, if you've made a big shift mentally and, you're existing in this certain place where you believe you're in the state that is going to create the outer 3D reality that you want, whatever that is. These things from the past will come up most of the time, maybe not for everybody, maybe not always, but often things happen that don't go with the new mentality. So the example I used is you're right on track with money, whatever that means for you. Your mentality is in the right place with money, and then something happens that does not go with that. You get some big bill, or you have something happen, your furnace breaks or something, and then all of a sudden you have a $5,000 bill you have to pay, that doesn't go with the I'm abundant, I'm rich, whatever, whatever state you're trying to move into. Those things are only tests in a mundane factual way, meaning they're only tests because how you react to them will have an effect on your forward motion, what direction you're heading in. If you let them drag you back, you will continue to create the old 3D reality. If you skate past it, you'll continue to the new 3D reality. But that thing happening is not like, oh, God put this here, or, it's just the natural outcome of the state that you were in before. If you had been in a more abundant, whatever, more responsible, whatever that means to you, state with money previously, you would probably have the money right now to just buy your new furnace. It wouldn't be a problem. Or you would have made a different choice about buying a house that had a furnace that was going to need to be replaced. You know what I mean? There's all these things that we do in the past, these decisions from the past that affect what the reaction is right now, the natural reaction is to the thing happening naturally right now, if that makes sense. So, you have to kind of consciously make the decision, react to the current circumstance from the different mentality. You can't slide back into the old mentality and take it to mean the thing you would have meant then, and it would have meant to you then, and react the way you would have reacted then and backslide into the old mentality. But so when those things happen, are you going to give in to the doubt? Are you going to take it to mean something more than nothing, essentially? You can have a violent reaction to something happening in your 3D reality without ascribing any meaning to it. You can get completely pissed and you can rage out and be like, it's so unfair, blah, blah, blah. You know, you can like have this, a total tantrum. But if you don't say, okay, this means that I'm not actually in that place. This means that, this is all a farce. This thing happening means that I am meant to be in the shitty state that I'm trying to get out. You know, you can have a horrible reaction to something without doing that. And the meaning part is the thing that matters. The change of direction is the thing that matters. You can sit there and be pissed for like 2 hours without making any decisions that will, you know what I mean? You can just be mad, just let it, or whatever, be upset, be sad, whatever the reaction is. You can just let it pass like a storm cloud floating through the sky, and then just kind of like bring yourself back into the state and just continue on. That's an option. That's not going to hurt anything. But so to get back to the doubts thing specifically, and what that has to do with your level of belief, I think that, you know, the more you do this and the more experienced you get and the more you see things change, the more you see that things can change, even in a big way you didn't ever think could change. I think it gets harder and harder to doubt. And when you have this underlying foundation of belief or faith or whatever, that automatically makes you doubt stuff less. So having doubts is human. Having momentary reactions is human. But how much doubt you have about something, I think really speaks to your true underlying belief. And I think that it's wise to sit with your doubt and try to figure out if there's something there. Again, because as I was saying, I've been saying this recently in videos, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but a lot of times the things that you want are coming from a certain state, or all of the time the things you want are coming from a certain state. So, you know, when you have something that you're trying to get, but you're really having a lot of resistance or doubt about it, it's not like, oh, the fix-all solution is to just believe harder. You know, you have to look at it and say, well, you know, I really don't know if I really have all these doubts about medical school, blah, blah, blah. I have all these doubts about going to law school, and they just keep coming up. Maybe that's not right for you. You know, maybe your doubt about it is telling you something. And I think it's wise to pay attention. I think it's wise to take your emotions and your thoughts and stuff seriously, just to the extent that you know, examine them a little bit. Don't just write everything off because that's what the new age gurus tell you to, you know, if they tell you to just be positive or just, that to me is just crazy because, you know, we have this emotional, mental, intellectual thought system, you know, just this thing that's working all the time. And, there's some valuable stuff in there. You know, you communicate with yourself via all of these routes. And I think, you know, when you have big doubts about something, I don't know, you know, I had some pretty big doubts about whether or not I should be doing anything with a specific person in the beginning of this. Even though there was no desperation, it was more of like a, is this really a thing type of endeavor for me. I wanted to see if like I could really make something happen in that area, like with a specific known person, not just like a random person. And I had a lot of, it wasn't doubts necessarily, it was just like I had this feeling like this isn't something that I should be spending my time on. And that came up in the form of, you know, all kinds of like feelings about it that I could probably put into the doubt category. And I just think, you know, I think that, again, like I said this in a previous video too, like you have to get to a point where you can discern what is a doubt you should pay attention to and what is, you know, something that's just like, oh, I just have to remind myself that it's done, you know, because they can kind of feel like the same thing, and one is something to be completely brushed off, and the other is you trying to tell yourself something like drop this desire, or I don't really want this to happen. It can be hard to take a feeling and put it into words that you can understand and then, use that information to change course or do something different. And I think a lot of the time doubts can come up, and it's coming from you going for something that you kind of know deep down is not going to make you happy, that it's going to take you further down a road that you don't want to be on, and then it's not right. And this stuff can be so much more complicated than people make it out to be. The manifestation process is incredibly easy. Know what you want, visualize it, know it will happen. Knowing what you want and being able to visualize it is like, it's hard, dude. It's like sometimes you don't really know what's right for you. And so I would not just completely brush doubts off. I don't completely brush them off. But, if you have doubts and then you remind yourself, I don't have to think about this because it's done, and you feel a relief and a release and it's gone, then I think, you're headed in the right direction. And, it's just mind chatter. Like with the negative thoughts. I think I made a video about negative thoughts recently. It's the same kind of thing. But just to answer the question in the comments, yes, I felt doubts here and there. Definitely, even during that time period at the beginning of this channel where I was certain I was going to meet the right person but hadn't yet. There was about 6 months in there where I was taking care of another relationship, letting that fade out, I did occasionally just say, I have no idea how I'm going to get this. I don't want to do, I would have a momentary kind of lapse into scarcity mentality, or like feeling like I had to know the way I was going to get it, and I was just like, I just don't see how I'm ever going to meet the right person. And I would just like have an emotional moment, a little emotional breakdown moment. And then it would be over, and then just go back to knowing. Stop thinking about it. That's been my experience with it. Anything about this that requires you to not be a human being is probably going to fail, because you are a human being in this iteration. You're existing in a human being, and your human nature will continue to apply to you by definition. So I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.